All right, welcome to another fantasy football show. Cut you off in the middle of a question. We'll get that answer in a second, Justin. We're sitting here ahead of week 15 fantasy playoffs for a lot of people. Thanks for hanging on if you're still here. If not, pick up a different hobby, I guess. Or if your team is in the actual playoff hunt, just enjoy that and
knitting.
stick around for like knitting. That's a fun holiday hobby. You got like 2 weeks to finish a scarf, beanie, whatever you got.
Crochet is a nice gift for Christmas as well.
Pickleball.
We've
talked a lot of pickleball on the pod before.
Yeah, that's the good stuff.
But Justin, which head coach do you want to see fired the most?
Do I want to see fired the most?
It doesn't have to be fantasy related. It could just be like personal beef, vendetta action.
I don't really have any ill will against anybody except for Joe Barry on the Packers, but he's not a head coach as Taylor's explained. But I just want that guy gone. I mean, I think we're about due. I love every week there's like a parallel tweet where it's like when Aaron Rodgers first season, after his first season, they fired the defensive coordinator. Will it happen after George? Like, there's always some like comparison. Statistically,
why do they need to be the same? Yeah,
it is kind of weird though. Like
right.
I guess it's more weird that people are diving into that deep. But I will say it was like maybe it was before the Thanksgiving or just after the Thanksgiving game. Their statistics were exactly the same through the same amount of games, and I was like, all right, that is kind of cool though. That is a little weird, but you can talk then. But little stuff like the hair products that they used were the same in their rookie year. Like that's weird.
Which or the talent level, or the talent level too. That's the key part.
Wasn't it like Sunday Night Football? Like 2 weeks ago, they were like, "Oh, he throws off his feet like Aaron Rodgers taught him how to do." It's like, is that the only quarterback to do that?
He sat behind the starter just like Rodgers did. It's like relax, like it's a comp. That's happened before.
Get more creative with your comps, please. Run through some injuries real quick. Keenan Allen ruled out. The tank might be fully on for the Chargers. Justin Herbert out for the season, finger surgery. Who knows what's going on? Speaking of head coaches getting fired, probably
100%
due there.
Yeah, that's 1,000 maybe. Sorry.
Rough situation there. We'll talk some pass catchers options. No Keenan, no Mike Williams. Quentin Johnson, I guess he wants to show up this week. He showed up last couple weeks.
I
don't know. Josh Jacobs is questionable for the Thursday game with a quad. Didn't practice all week, but I think we're expecting him to play through. We didn't see anything too serious with that. Raiders are still in the picture, I guess, trying to push through. So Taylor's Raiders are all in, pushing the chips to the table.
No, I'm in like the Packers situation. I don't want to push.
Yeah.
I just want to like wait and just get a decent draft pick. Now I'm just like,
You're in that like 18 to 12 range is just that range that everybody's clamoring to be in 100%. Zamir White might be an option, if on the off chance that Jacobs isn't active for that game.
Zamir White's in practice, which
probably
is
the go-to back, right?
That's interesting. Yeah, there's a chance he doesn't play.
There's not a lot of DMPs all week, but suit up. But on the short week, I don't know. Maybe it's a rest thing more than anything. Didn't really see a quad strain for him. He was in late. We saw something more knee related, but Sick Insights, you can head over there for the latest six score on him. Jamar Chase, we maybe just do a blanket update for all your favorite fantasy wide receivers that have ankle injuries and didn't practice. Probably going to play unless we see otherwise. Again, Six Insights will have the latest for Thursday and Friday reports. Jamar Chase here is going to play. Justin Jefferson said he's going to play. I guess he was streaming the Raiders and Vikings game from the ambulance, which I don't know why he would do that. On medical advice, I would advise him not to do that. That's probably more painful than what happened to him on that hit.
So, you mean the visual?
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
He said he was like losing his mind left and right over the game while they're trying to do tests on him. So just don't. He's probably rooting against Josh Dobbs. Like, don't. All that smarts, and you decide to throw a floating pass over the middle so I can get cracked by the safety. Crunch the numbers on that, Josh.
What did Doc say? It's a hospital ball. It literally took him to the hospital. Yeah.
Nick Mullins fired him up. Taylor's got a secret play for Nick Mullins.
Yeah, Hawkinson.
Sorry, not that secret.
No. He just can't throw deep, and we're back when he was on the Niners, he actually beat the Raiders pretty good the first game. He was throwing to Ross Dwelly, and I saw him throwing to Jalen Naylor a lot. It's just someone that's like the fourth or fifth guy that he threw in, practice a lot. But now he has the kind of reps of the first team. He's going to throw to the tight end just like he did Kittle after he started getting off Dwelly, after he started starting a bunch of games for the Niners. So if you have Hawkinson right now, you probably were one of the top teams in your league, right? He's been a solid top 2 or 3 tight end the whole season, maybe number 1, right? With him and Laporta, been Kittle, been all, messing around. Kelsey, all the Andrews, they've been better than that, right? So it's something that you might have a league winner right now just by losing, going to a third string quarterback. Now you have something in a tight end that you had already.
Oh, you got to love the quarterbacks that know their limitations. Sometimes the backups come in slinging it. That's what Justin's hoping Easton Stick does on Thursday night, apparently. Walk us through that situation before we get to some dudes done.
I don't want to put anybody to sleep, but it's I know last week I was jazzed
I don't
up,
think
right?
you're the only one in this situation. Some people lost Keenan and other stuff. So
yeah, so I was super excited last week going in. I locked up playoff spots, but I had some injuries. Nico Collins, obviously, I don't know. I doubt he's going to play, but they're being weird about it. They're doing like who knows, it could happen. Mm-hmm. And even if he does play, do you want to roll him out into that?
He might re-aggravate it again, honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And Christian Watson is now gone. So now I have this it's looking really gross in the wide receiver room for me. And Joshua Palmer has been in my IR for a while, and he's now coming back. There's no Keenan Allen. It's a Thursday night game, which makes it even more disgusting because it's like I can't push it all the way.
You got to make that early week call. Yeah.
So I'm like, am I throwing this guy in? And I was coping. I was watching video of Easton Stick at the second half of that football game. He was throwing some balls. Like he was like, we're talking like 40 plus completions. And I was like 40 plus yard completions. I'm like, maybe there's like a world, right? Where like, I don't know. It's a gross whirlwind where you have a guy coming off IR with a new quarterback that's never had played any real meaningful snaps, never started a game. I'm probably still doing it. I don't know where your guys' head is on it, but it feels gross, and I'm just it's a crapshoot now at this point.
All right, run us through your options, Justin. What else gross do you got on the bench there?
Okay, so here's what I have, and it's in the wide receiver position. I picked up DeMarcus Robinson. Okay, the Rams
not a great start, to be honest.
Slinging the ball a lot. Okay, we're talking like they're in 3 wide receiver sets. I think almost the entire game, all the time. Tutu Atwell concussion.
He's not coming
back. If he doesn't play, I don't know, man. DeMarcus Robinson had 10 targets last week, 3 receptions. He did catch a touchdown 2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row.
I don't know. That's a desperation play.
Poor man's Rashee Rice.
I could talk myself into that. I don't know. But also I have I could push this problem to the flex and start Rico Dowdle. I could start Tyler Algier. Or I could start Tyjae Spears, who actually had
had a good game last week.
Spears had a week.
But it was honestly, that's game script dependent.
Yeah.
Right? He caught a lot of balls. I think he had like 89 yards receiving, and they were down that whole game. They're playing the Houston Texans this week. I got to imagine it's just going to be Derrick Henry.
It might be Davis Mills also for the Texans.
Yeah. It's going to be Derrick Henry just absolutely mauling like he does to the Texans. So
he hasn't done it all year, though.
But it's the Texans.
I'm not like in love with Derrick Henry's whole aspect this year. I'd be upset with what you got if you drafted him this year, right?
Yeah. No, I think I agree with Justin that it's not going to be as open as a game as Miami and the Titans was on Monday night because it's Titans-Texans in division. They're going to be close. It's going to be grinded out with Derrick Henry, not throw some bombs to Tyjae Spears.
He usually runs like crazy against them, right? He usually runs like 200 yards against them.
Yeah.
So
he had like a streak of like 200 yards.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, and if you have Henry, you're enjoying this playoff schedule, especially with what's going on in Houston, because they're playing Houston this week. I don't know who else they play after that, but then they go right back and play Houston a second time. So it's 2 times in 3 weeks in the playoffs. I think Henry's just going to be the one just kind of pounding all. I don't know. It's going to be gross, but that's my spot right now. I could talk myself into Spears because he had a good game last week, but I just feel like it's not going to be. I need like a moonshot. I need like a chance at somebody who's just going to get a big load, may have 100 yards and a touchdown somewhere, but I don't know.
And that's Josh Palmer to you. I
don't know if it is. It's probably just going to happen. I'm going to be sad and we'll just deal with it. We'll talk about it later. But yeah, I'm talking myself into a lot.
Well, Keenan Allen's like wide receiver 3 this year, so they do need to like
replace that a little bit.
That's a lot of stuff to replace. So Palmer has to eat a little bit into that, I would say. Yeah. So
the only thing that makes me upset is that he didn't at least like attempt to play last week to get a couple reps in. Where now it's his first game back, and I mean he's got to be healthy. Obviously, you wouldn't put him out there if he wasn't healthy. But there's something to be said about coming off.
The extra
IR.
week is helpful, though. I mean, like sometimes a lot of these players, I know the last couple of years, like the first week off IR was never like. It was always not productive more often than not. But I've seen a couple times this year where someone will come off the IR and just ball out, have a great game.
And he's
So,
been
I
full
mean,
participant in practice.
right.
too.
Those are the
It's-
kind of ones that's
yeah.
not like LP all week, and then they play their first game and they're like 20 yards. You're like, all right, he's not back yet, But
All
this
right.
one seems like there's a chance, with how he's participating in practice so late.
I'm just gonna lock it in now, man. I'm playing Joshua Palmer.
I feel like you already did
a
already.
gutsy
I don't
call.
think we convinced
I
you.
know,
Anyway. You were
I
doing
know.
it already.
So
Yeah.
you gave me that little extra bump right there.
There you
That
go.
and like the 2-minute video of Easton Stick throwing the ball in the second
That
half. I
can't
was like,
have
all
helped.
right.
That doesn't help coaches. So I don't know if that helped you.
Yeah.
Let's get some dudes and duds.
Dudes and duds.
Throw up plenty of Easton Stick talk next week.
Yeah.
I'll start with my dude, Chase Brown. It's more that I'm like proud that I picked him up and played him this week because I didn't have anything else. Ramondre hurt, James Conner on bye. 8 for 25, not great on the ground, but 3 catches for 80 yards and touchdown, including I think it was a 55-yard screen pass that he took to the house. So it's encouraging. I mean, they haven't had anything behind Joe Mixon, and then all of a sudden Chase Brown pops up and looks like they're looking to get him the ball, both in the passing and running game. So it's an intriguing option for people going to the playoffs. It's definitely a dice roll. Joe
Yeah.
makes the majority of that action, but
So I think the Bengals are on record. The coaching staff's on record saying that they wanted to get him more involved when he got back because they know he can do that. Like he's explosive, and I think that's exciting. You know who's not explosive? Joe Mixon.
yeah,
But yeah, it's nice to have that balance. I think he was playing like 33% of the snaps last week. You'd ideally like him to get if he could get on that like Tajay Spears, Derrick Henry kind of combination, like that would be really nice for them because they're like almost splitting 50-50. Sometimes
Where's
Spears
this
is
Mixon stuff
getting
coming
more.
from?
What's
What do you
that?
mean he's not explosive?
I'm just saying he to me he's not been as
He
explosive.
had a 45-yard catch last week.
I mean, a catch is.
We're
not-
talking
Oh,
about.
come on.
I mean,
I'm
we had
talking-
Chase Brown, who we just said he's the most electrifying person since sliced bread right
He
now.
is.
With
He
a
is.
54-yard catch, and then now you have one that had 9 yards less, and he's automatically not. Also, running the ball, Mixon was more explosive this week as well. So
Okay, listen, I hear what you're saying. All right, I hear what you're saying, but I based off a season's load, if you take it all into account, one game obviously, I just feel like Chase Brown on paper when you look at it, which I don't know, you're not watching videos on paper, but you see what I'm saying. If you watch the side by side, Chase Brown looks faster. He looks more.
he looks
explosive.
good.
He's a home run
That's
hitter.
why they drafted him. He was good at Illinois. He can pass and receive. So that's exactly why he's there. And like you said, the last couple of years they've had nothing behind Mixon. This is the first year they finally have something they can utilize, give some volume to him, and give Mixon some time off.
Rest in peace, Giovanni Bernard. Just want to give him a
Yeah.
shout out. That was
It's
a
been
good
so
couple
long
good
since
years.
they've had someone like that, right?
It is. I
Love
that's-
Bernard.
he is- yeah, he was fun.
Joe Mixon rushes of 20 or more this season. 2.
Yeah, that was one.
Explosive.
Oh,
so
rushing.
explosive.
Yeah,
Rushing,
super
yeah.
explosive.
I appreciate
Chase,
you pulling
just
that.
comparing them and Chase Brown is all I'm saying.
I agree.
No, he's
And
obviously the
Mixon's
starter for a
RB6.
reason.
He's been producing this
did-
year.
yeah.
So
The volume is unmatched, but he's not explosive.
Let's just go. I'll just get my dude out of the way. It's Drake London. It's hard to give him the honor of dude based off of what happened last week, which was or the week before last, I should say.
Yeah,
was really gross. But you
it's really
crown
not
him
his
with-
fault sometimes.
It's really not. I mean, obviously, their quarterback situation is definitely disgusting. But 11 targets, 10 receptions, 172 yards, and little bonus, caught the 2-point reception.
Yeah, it's always
always
needed.
helps.
Yeah, it helps out.
That's awesome. When you go in there and you just see that little extra 2-point bump, I think that's cool. But huge game from him, and obviously you'd like to see that more consistently. But again, like you said, it's not really his fault. He's out there doing the best he can, and if the ball comes to him in a spot where he can catch it, which is honestly a pretty big radius, and they
It has
still
to
miss
be
it
with Ritter.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I
yeah,
saw a
he's
clip. I
ripping.
think they use like the roof cam or something like that. They have all these different crazy camera angles these days. But his biggest highlight of the week was a catch where he looked like he was picking it off from the DB.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's
That
gross.
was Well, shout out for him for getting it done with Ritter at quarterback. That's it's not easy.
and doing that well too.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
We'll see if he can follow it up and do it again 2 weeks in a row. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's the problem with him.
Skeptical.
I could do my dude next. David Njoku. We've felt like he's had an advantage with Flacco ever since Flacco's took the helm on the Browns. Finally had a big game, 6 catches, 91, 2 touchdowns, 2 like 30+ yard touchdowns too. So he's a key part, not only just like intermediate. It seems like he's like explosive in the offensive game for them. He should be continuing to keep doing this. I know he's liking Elijah Moore a little bit. Cooper's been a little bit, iffy with his injuries of late, but Njoku's the guy for him. He should he loved the tight end when he was on the Ravens, so he should continually check down or just find, like, Jerome Ford's getting a lot of catches of late too, not as much running the ball, but just continually, this offense is flowing and they're throwing the ball like crazy. This is what you want from Easton Stick, by the way.
Yeah.
This is the kind of, you want these kind of games where, like, he probably should never be throwing 40, but like he's ending up throwing like 45 every game. And in this game, he had like 300 plus and a couple touchdowns. Like this is a stat line that no one should have coming off the couch like he did of recent.
Yeah. Well, and he was like the hottest waiver claim of the week for quarterbacks with everybody going down. Everyone's like,
stats are amazing.
Joe
like,
Flacco on my team. What year is it? This is insane.
Like, he's got 20, he's throwing 45. This is the second straight game he's done over 20 plus completions, like 311, 3 in an interception. That's really good. Like, you're taking that in fantasy every week. There's some leagues, you have the completion leagues that you get a little, negativity because that is 2 straight weeks where he has 20, drops or incompletions. But I mean, the volume's there, and like even when they're like close games or whatever, his stat line is very good.
Njoku's one of those rare tight ends these days too that can do it after catch. Like, I think his 30-yard touchdown was like a 5-yard completion that he turned and took it to the house.
Right.
So you're not just hoping that he falls forward for another 3 yards. He actually can do something with the ball when he has it.
Like Kittle, Laporta,
yeah. All right, my dud, Calvin Ridley. Been a while since I've seen a stat line like this. 13 targets, 4 catches for 53 yards. I mean, maybe you can give him a benefit of the doubt that Trevor Lawrence wasn't sharp with that ankle. I mean,
Kirk wasn't there.
Did have 3 picks. Yeah, but Kirk not being there, I feel like it goes 2 ways in fantasy. It either helps the guy or it hurts because it puts more attention on him. 13 targets, you're only catching 4 balls.
Because Ingram got 11 catches on 12.
Yeah.
So
Ingram was cooking though.
Yeah.
It's not Ritter where he's not throwing it in your catch radius. It's
right.
It might be you, Calvin Ridley.
Dang. All right. Dang. I feel like we need to send him that clip. That was targeted. That felt.
You literally said everything to him. You might as well be in front of his door and say it to his face.
I will not. He's a very large human.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk. My dud. It's Stephon Diggs, 4 for 11, 4 catches, 11 targets, 24 yards. Wide receiver 6 in PPR. Jacob, thanks for these stats. I'm just reading them off as you wrote it. But 3 of his last 4 weeks, wide receiver 55 or worse. That's duddy. That's a dud all over.
Duddy territory.
Yeah, but they won the game. Controversially, they won that game.
You got it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be happy. I mean, if you're a Bills fan, but if you're a Stephon Diggs fantasy owner, it's not looking good lately.
No, he is wide receiver 6, but it feels like it was all early weeks. Like he was going off weeks 1 through 5, and then it's just been trickling since then. Like
this is going to lead into mine too. Yeah. My dud is that these are the duds, like you said, that you can't have now. This is the fantasy playoffs. These are people you drafted really high, like Diggs. This is one I had is Evans, who's had a fantastic year. You probably got him a little lower than normal because Mayfield, Trask, they didn't know who was going to throw him the ball. He's got his usual 1,000, right, that he normally gets, but 6 targets. It looks like our theme is that if you got a lot of targets and you have limited amount of catches, it's dud. It's equals dud. But it's usually the case. But yeah, he has the 6 targets, 1 catch, 8 yards. That's not effective at all, right? He had a good game environment too. Like I would have took his prop again. I don't think we did at 6 score, but he had 162 against the Panthers, 70 Colts. Like he had 143 against Titans a couple weeks even before that. So he's been a guy that you're relying on every year, including this year. But this is a game where it's the first week of the playoffs and your number 1 wideout gave you a completely 1.8 points. It's not helpful at all. That's a bad day.
If I could give Stephon Diggs advice, it'd be to not talk to Stephon Gilmore. Don't call him old.
That's fair.
That means he's going to shut you down because he still has it.
He's still good.
He still has it.
He has the juice still, so you can't say to someone that can still work it. Yeah.
Talk your smack after you're in the end zone, not like one completion early in the game and then you're like, you're old.
Yeah. That's funny. I feel like that does kind of factor in, but it could also go both ways. Some people feel like if they talk a bunch of crap that it's going to like get in the defender's head. To me, I don't want to rile anybody up. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to give them something to fire them up because if they're just coming into the game going through the motions and
it's like LeBron James, like he's too old, like he's seen it all. Like don't give him anything.
Yeah.
I'm not a crazy LeBron James fan, but like when you say something in public about him, he is 120% could have a good game that day or the next day because like he just like these guys have seen it all. Don't give them anything. Like literally let them go about and muster motivation for. It's already hard to find for some of these guys. So like if you give them something like that, then you're automatically, like you said, giving yourself a disadvantage going into the game.
No, we didn't mention AJ Brown as a dud, but he had a positive game script the whole game. They were behind the whole game, and it's a little worrying for fantasy owners getting to the playoffs with AJ Brown. He's kind of getting that territory. I mean, maybe it's Jalen Hurts, maybe it's should be Mariota time.
Well, he's lucky they were like at least chasing this week because he had 9 for 94. If they weren't even chasing, I mean, he might have not had a great game.
Yeah.
It's hard to look at these stat lines, especially in the leagues that I'm in that are like 14 teams and it's like 2 flex. And I'm like, man, I would kill for an AJ Brown dud. Like, yeah, that would be awesome.
Right. Like his dud is like 45 yards. You're like, oh, man.
That would be sick. But no, yeah. I mean, like you said, it's your stud. You're going to start him in I would say, most leagues. But it is tough in a league that's, I'd say, more normal. If it's a 12-team single flex, you do have to make really tough decisions on really good players. And that's really like going to make or break whether or not you're going to win these fantasy matchups in the playoffs. If you have the stones to bench somebody like Stephon Diggs for somebody who's hot right now, I don't know. It looks really gross on paper, but maybe you want to start Joshua Palmer over Stephon Diggs. Don't take that advice. That's not real advice.
No.
Don't take it.
I do want to bring something up. This is our kicker aficionado, I guess you'd say. I'm over here. A week where you could have picked anybody. Brandon Aubrey is something I would have. I'm gonna do the kicker for you. I'm gonna take your shoes, Justin.
That's
Are we
good.
the same size? I don't know for sure.
I love
it. Like you have 1, 2, 3, 4 field goals. All of them are over 45.
Oh, that's a weak
You
winner
got a
right there.
You got a 60. I mean, excuse me, 4 field goals, not 5. 4 field goals. You
Yeah.
got a 50, 45, 59, and a 60.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
He is the K1, as the kids say, the K1.
Is he?
I
I didn't even know that was a thing. I would never.
No one. I don't think anyone
talked
has
about every
ever
week.
said
I don't know what you
that. That may have never been said
The
before.
K1. I
K1
love it.
speed.
I love it.
But real,
It's
but
a former
seriously,
USFL,
though,
right? USFL superstar, dude. Like out of nowhere. I love that.
Yeah, he's insane. Obviously, when you're on an offense that potent and like that it's just constantly moving the ball, constantly.
But you're not
scoring.
supposed to be kicking field goals in the back in the day, Chiefs. It was just when the drive stalled, Bucker would have a couple long kicks, and you're like, all right, Bucker's really good because he doesn't miss.
Yeah.
Tucker was more like, back in the day, I feel like they didn't score as well until Lamar started to figure out a little bit. So now it's just you have to make the long kicks. Like each one of these like star kickers get like 2 kicks now, and they're both like 50 yarders because like their team's always pretty close where they score, right?
Yeah.
So
well, that's the thing.
now
Is
this
if you're also like in the lead and you're like blowing a team out, you're like, just kick
You're
the ball.
whatever,
Just kick
kick
it.
it,
Wherever
yeah.
am I even remotely close to midfield? Just let's see if he can do it. It'd be awesome. Like, it's one of those. Like, just see if he can.
No, it was
try
perfect. Like you said, perfect game script because they were killing remember the Eagles very early on. So the second half, I think 3 of his 4 field goals were in this. That was all the field goals late. So like you said, they just needed to just kick those away. But I mean, having a 59 and a 60 in the same game, that's already, you don't need any more kicks. That's a fantasy point. You're good, right? But yeah, he kept going. I always want to take your shoes for a second.
No, it's awesome. I loved it. It felt good talking about the K1 though, right? That was
the
good.
K1.
The K1.
A1 K1. Yeah.
Since we're talking about the K1, let me hit you with some stats. 147 fantasy points on the year for Brandon Aubrey.
That's a lot.
That's tight end
Pretty
6.
Yep.
Above Cole Kmet. That's the same points as Kenneth Walker this year.
That's why the Scott Fish League is so key too, because like he has kickers as an option, and like a lot of times, if you have a lot of flex options, and you're like Justin, that you're like debating Josh Palmer, and you have like a Justin Tucker on the bench, you're probably putting Tucker. That's easy.
Yeah.
That's an easy 10 to 15 points right there, and
Yeah.
maybe 20 if he has an Aubrey game, right? So kickers in some of these leagues like that are like they can be very helpful in swaying a matchup.
No, I think that's what you told me late when you were drafting is like, I'm not picking up these wide receiver 4s and 5s on these teams. I'm going to get a kicker.
Like these
why not?
Dinwiddie's or Dowdles or whatever, right?
Right.
Like you're getting these guys, you're like, oh, you're expecting maybe Pollard gets hurt, whatever, that's fine. But if he doesn't, you have this backup that's like 8 points, 6 points. Maybe he gets a touchdown
Consistent.
50 like he did maybe a couple weeks ago. Then it's like 11. But then you have a Justin Tucker, or even like beginning of the season, you had Brett Mayer on the Rams before he got waived. He had 3 games of over 10. You just have a random kicker that's, like you said, on a kind of bad team that can't move the offense fully. Boom, 45 yarders. That's, you get a couple of those. You have 9 points, 10 points. Like,
don't
easy.
disrespect my boy Dustin Hopkins too. He's 8 points behind Brandon Aubrey.
Oh, I love Hopkins.
Yeah.
He's a one.
Just
If he's
so
a 1.5,
consistent,
like
too.
if you're doing props, 1.5 field goal, and you see that, just take 1.5 field goals for Hopkins. Usually does it.
I love a good
Little underdog
field
prize pick.
Love-
Kicker special.
Yeah,
Right?
kicker-
I love those
kicker
teams that
props.
can't punch it in the red zone either. It's
Yep.
like, they're getting the 35 yarders automatic. Like,
Absolutely.
just outside the red zone.
This
All
has
right,
been
let's
an
get some
important segment.
leftovers.
This has been an important segment.
You're like,
As much we can talk kickers all day. We'll
Yes.
start a separate kicker pod for all those aficionados.
you're right. It felt good. You know,
It
like
did,
just
right?
talking
It's like-
kicker. Yeah.
yeah.
K1, K2. That's as deep as we're getting on the list.
Yep.
All right, leftovers it is.
The Leftovers.
I got a pretty gross group. I don't know about you guys.
Well, the playoffs is weird. First off,
yeah.
only a certain amount of people should be touching waivers. I have a certain hatred for people that pick up people when they're not in the playoffs anymore or they're out of it. Leave those for people that are trying.
Oh,
Okay?
my home league does it fun. We got the losers bracket, of course, but the winner of the losers bracket gets an extra ping pong ball for the number 1 pick next year. It's like
So I mean, you got to work a little bit. Yeah.
be competitive, you know?
Yeah, but like, don't touch them if you don't rules
Yeah.
like that specifically, or someone pointing
Yeah.
the right way. Yeah, I mean, all these leagues are different. I mean, you have your hot dog thing. So there was something like you were trying to trade people when you weren't even going to win.
Yeah.
It was just a matter. So like that's like I like the rules that keep you moving throughout the entire year. You know, some people are stagnant and don't move a lot, right. In the leagues, but
I ended up winning 6 straight. Was just on the outside of the playoffs. Lost.
Wow.
I didn't put up enough points, but definitely a good
Wow.
result from where I
Ramondre
was.
was a big loss, and Connor
Yeah.
and Ramondre
Right.
smack dab that hurt.
yeah, did, but Chase Brown came through for me.
Mhm.
David Bell, question mark, caught a touchdown from Flacco last week.
Yeah.
0% owned for a reason, but I don't know.
You know, he was very prolific at Purdue.
He
If you
was.
look up David Bell stats, one of the top wide receivers like ever, like statistically. Look it up.
Flacco's there the rest of the way. He's going to sustain some receiving options. Maybe not Elijah Moore. I mean, I don't know.
I
I'm
don't
just-
hate
we're-
it. I mean, I
This
just
is what
feel
we're doing
like-
with leftovers. We're throwing stuff
Right.
at the wall. Maybe if there might be a week 16 matchup or week 17 that like
And that was one catch,
David
right?
Bell's
That was a
flex.
41-yard
Yeah.
catch. Yeah. I was saying yeah.
That'll win you a matchup some
Well,
weeks.
same.
For sure. Yeah.
It's a volume. I mean, I get another thing that's like volume related. Like Flacco's changing that offense because they're chucking a lot. Like even
Yeah.
with Deshaun
Yeah.
Watson, they weren't. I don't even think they were.
They're a
doing
run
any of
heavy
this, but
team
Yeah.
at heart, you know, and they're like you said, they're moving around and changing things.
Kind of lends to my next one. Michael Gallup also found the end zone in a high volume passing
Just
offense.
pick him up. Just pick him up. Why not?
He hasn't looked good this year. Definitely
know,
not the
but,
same after
like,
that knee
Hey, he's
Yeah.
not
ACL tear.
selling
But
this leftover, man.
I know
mean,
I'm not. He's
no.
like, he doesn't look good this year. I know that was wrong to say, Jacob.
But if he finds the end zone, then he looks great. It's,
Yeah.
it's interesting how much that flips. Brandon Cooks is definitely like I drafted Brandon Cooks and I dropped him like week 4, week 5 because I was just like, oh no, he's not clicking.
That's
Probably
not
should have held
smart.
on to
That
him.
wasn't
Yeah.
smart. Yeah.
As I always look back at fantasy, I'm like, I probably shouldn't have dropped a couple of these guys. Quentin Johnson was the safe one.
I have an existential question for both of you. These are 4 and 3% owned too. Is it Mullins or Stick this week? If you
Oh.
have some issues, unless probably a super flex league is when you would have
Yeah.
this certain issue. If you don't, then I don't know how you're in the playoffs. Good luck and good for you, I guess.
Who's
Nolan's
Mullins
gonna
up
get
against?
Cincy.
Mullins is against
The Bengals.
Cincinnati, so you got Awuzie not playing 100%, and you have their second
Taylor
corner
Britt
out.
still
yes,
on IR.
Yes, and you have Stick, who is on a short week and doesn't have much starting experience.
And your Raider defense has been solid.
Crosby's playing.
I've been going against you early on, but then watching it last week against Vikings, you guys gave Josh Dobbs some trouble.
Man, that's tough.
I think it's Mullins.
I think it's probably Mullins, but I want to because based on our prior conversation and me trying to play Josh Palmer, I really want to say it's going to be Easton Stick.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't want to say that.
I feel like now because everyone else isn't, I might just have to.
Just go be a contrarian. No, that's
yes,
smart.
give me the stick, dude.
Is Jake Browning on a roster? Is he like automatically scooped up and starting for someone
like
in a
he
super
had-
flex?
after
He got
throwing
picked up.
300
He got
yards,
picked up
yeah,
in
he
my
has to be
league.
picked up. Another guy I have is Davis Allen. He's the new tight end for Higbee until Higbee can return. He had
Right.
4 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown. I don't know who he is, to be honest. I've never scouted him.
Allen.
Never.
The only
but,
reason
like, Davis Allen, another Allen brother.
Yeah,
but
alright.
the only reason I saw him was because he got face masked to oblivion
He
on
did.
the one touch his only touchdown. He got like almost his head turned all the way around owl style, but good for him,
owl style, yes,
as they say.
yes. But yeah, Zamir White's a option you said, but I don't think he's that great, even from a Raiders fan. I don't see
It's
there's.
gonna be a mix of him and Abdullah, right?
I would.
Like,
Abdullah's a good pass catcher, so it's good. He's always going to be out there, and he's a good pass pro blocker too. So he's going to help O'Connell out. But
Has
I mean,
Zamir White ever gotten like a full start, like a full
Nah,
game?
no.
I think if when Jacobs,
Josh Jacobs plays through a lot. So
yeah,
Okay.
I think there's the times where Jacobs was out. I remember Zamir White wasn't the dude; it was somebody else. I just can't remember. But
Yeah.
Kenny Drake.
maybe, yeah, just stuff
Maybe.
like that. It was never like Zamir White's backfield, and he was really good at Georgia, but he also never had the backfield to himself at Georgia either. So he's always been like a sharing type, but I don't know. I don't see us being effective. I wouldn't even promote him as an option, to be honest. I know he is in the leftover category.
Okay, so
though.
he got picked up. He got picked up in my 14-team league on
Right.
waivers, and I think he's
He's
starting
probably-
for somebody.
Yeah,
Like,
because
it's
he's in pure volume. If he's the starter, they're gonna try to get him 10 to 12, but I don't know how effective that'll be.
would you rather
Robert
start
Woods.
Josh Palmer
Or Zamir White?
I'd rather start Josh Palmer. I think
yeah.
Josh Palmer.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right, all right.
I'm
'Cause
not
I
saying
would-
anything about Stick. I think Stick is still
Yeah.
not a great decision, but I think Palmer has way more volume, and I think he can be effective. Especially the chase. If the Raiders actually do play well, Stick, and you think Stick's gonna, I think he said chuck. So if he chucks it, then
he's
yeah,
chucking. Yeah, he's
Palmer's
chucking
getting something.
Betting on
Like-
Stick to
Like
Chuck.
we said, Allen's wide receiver 6, I think I said.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if that needs to be replicated. I mean, you need to replace that in some way, and they're not going to replace it fully. But
Is it
enough.
QJ wide receiver 1 for them?
Wide receiver 3? Excuse me. Sorry, Allen's been unbelievable. Remember, he
Oh,
had
geez.
108 catches this year. Keenan Allen. So
Yeah, leading
even
the
if
league.
you don't like the yards for Palmer, if you're doing a prop standpoint, I see Palmer at least getting a bunch of catches, just trying to move the sticks with Stick.
Move
Move the
Stick.
stick. There you
Whoa.
go, Dr. Seuss.
Robert Woods is hanging around there. Father Time has come from, but
I think he's come for him.
he is on the Texans.
We know that.
CJ Stroud
That's-
might not be thrown to him this week, but Nico Collins is probably out.
Do
Tank
you
Dell out.
buy
And,
into anything
Noah
on
Wood,
that offense?
Noah Woods.
Noah Brown.
Noah Brown is back, but he didn't look effective in his first game
knees
back.
looks like it's nagging him. So maybe just pivot and go Brevin Jordan. I'm talking myself into the tight end option better.
Quiz show real quick.
Is Schultz
How many
practiced,
yards
though,
did
didn't he?
Robert Woods have last week?
Schultz might be back this
He
week.
might be
correct?
back.
Oh,
How
man.
many yards did Robert Woods have last week?
I'm gonna give him
38.
9-2.
Oh,
Wow.
way too high.
So there's been 3 of the last 5 games that he's had 1 catch.
Oh,
So it's tough for him. He's a pure blocking wide receiver, but this year 3 for 24. We were a little higher on him this year than we were last year because he was coming off the ACL last year. This is his second year off ACL, but that offense has been prolific enough. Collins and Dell have been holding it down enough
Yeah.
that they haven't even need to use Woods. But like you said, Woods, the target share could be there this week.
when did Singletary? Sorry, Justin. When
No, you're
did
good.
Singletary completely take David Pierce's job? Because I feel like it happened
He Alex
overnight.
Smithed him,
Yeah.
or Colin Kaepernicked him.
Yeah,
Either
no,
way,
it's-
Yeah.
when you're hurt and you lose your job just purely because you were injured,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's Alex Smith.
Yeah.
That's all that happens. Yeah, it happens.
I would be hard pressed to recommend anybody play anybody on the Texans given their current.
That's helpful
situation.
for you. Thank
Yeah.
you, analysts,
I'm
saying
just
not to take
saying.
anybody.
I'm just saying, like I don't think I would touch. There's got to be something better than Robert Woods. If
Well,
you're-
the one
if
thing
you're-
I'll say for the Titans, Jeffrey Simmons might miss his second straight game. They didn't. Miami didn't play great, but both Achane and Mostert, Achan.
Achan,
Sorry,
you got it. You got it.
sorry.
I'm in your head. You good?
They both were over 5 yards a carry before they started throwing the ball a little bit. So I think that they should be able to run the ball well. Like you said, though, you're choosing between Pierce and Singletary. You have a chance to make the wrong move.
Yeah.
So you might as well just avoid, and especially with these playoffs that you're in, you can't be making any decisions that are going to mess you up like that.
Yeah. You're gonna have to wait late week to see if Stroud clears too, because
That's also why Zamir White.
option. That yeah.
That's why Zamir White probably isn't a void as well, because it's too early in the week for you to make something that's like, oh, let me maybe start Zamir White. Like, no, once you locked it on Thursday, you're effed for the rest of the week. Right.
That's always the worst too. It's
yeah.
like
That's
you
me,
make the wrong.
baby.
You make
You're
the wrong
Josh
call
Pa-
on Thursday, and then you're just waiting all week.
Yeah.
Like, wait till I get blown out on Sunday because it's my
Yeah.
Thursday call.
Well, that's your question
Congrats.
is like, would you start him if he would have started Sunday? And if you're saying no, then you need to get
Don't
him the
do it
hell out of your
Thursday.
Thursday
Yeah.
lineup now, because you just
Right.
need to make
That's
other
a-
decisions.
That's
yeah.
a fair point. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can pivot on Sundays. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that would change anything, and even then I still probably wouldn't, is if Nico Collins somehow decided to play. Do you play Nico Collins in that condition and that
No,
team with
I
Davis
just think
Mills
from a
Probably
medical
not.
medical standpoint,
Like-
he's already had this calf, so like
Yeah.
he's already re-aggravated it. So there's a point too, like Stroud's maybe not going to play.
Yeah.
So do you want Davis Mills thrown to a
No.
one-legged
So there it is.
Collins.
So you got to make the tough choices. So
No,
I'm
I get it.
making the tough Thursday choice.
That is what the key part. I think I said this multiple times on this podcast. During the fantasy playoffs, you need to make that decision where, like, if you have a really Kirk Cousins killed all year for you, and then he's playing elite Ravens defense, and you got like a backup quarterback or like a Zach Wilson that's playing Carolina Panthers, and all their cornerbacks are gone. That decision is Zach Wilson, and it's going to hurt you so bad.
Yeah.
But those are the kind of decisions that make you win. Don't worry, I said Zach Wilson. Okay?
I don't know.
I'm just trying to make it. I'm just trying to make a scenario out.
Those names, but that's AFC Player of the Week, Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true.
Put some respect on his name, dude.
No, he negotiated the murder of Tim Boyle. So he executed that brilliantly.
And then acted like he didn't want to come back in and play quarterback.
Yeah, after
That's
he already
perfect
part of his contract is also Rodgers, by the way, I don't think you're gonna come back. Let me play the rest of the year. And Rodgers like, that's fine.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
sure.
kid.
Boyle's gotta go. You know?
All right, let's get to some shootouts and droughts. Look ahead to next week.
It's some shootouts and droughts.
When he does a I can hear Justin. But then after that, he gets into the voice that I don't know it's him. But I can hear the
That's
That's
we paid
true.
a voice actor.
paid
bought
lots of
millions.
money. Like our whole ad budget was for that. Yes.
Whoever that was off a few sarsaparillas, that's for sure.
Yes, for sure.
Washington at the Rams, 50.5.
I already turned the TV off.
No,
Yeah,
what?
Sorry,
You don't want to watch
Oh,
this?
I don't know. Do
Since-
you?
Like early in the season, it was like, yeah, Washington's a shootout. I don't know anymore.
So one of my favorite picks this year has been Brian Robinson, and now the fact that he's been out with the
DNP hamstring
and I love.
after the bye
honestly,
too,
I've been
it's
really.
not
I was
great.
high in this Commanders offense. Eric Bieniemy was a little bit to it, but I just thought it was just they had good weapons. Robinson kills my whole vibe about it. Howell, and then the offensive line, Howell's looking.
Yeah, they got to be able to do something on the ground to open it up for Howell.
Yeah.
And if there's no Brian Robinson, it's probably avoid the whole offense.
And then I think our company, we all like Doc, he knows Rivera and stuff. I feel like we all like Rivera. So I feel like we're all watching him slow death too, as well. Like he's not going to be there at the end as well, probably.
Yeah.
This year, like he's done probably. And that's also.
This says more about the Rams offense. I think Cooper Kupp and
He's
Puka
back,
are
right?
automatic
He's back,
starts
yeah.
against the Washington secondary.
Right.
That's
This is why I'm
terrible,
also
terrible.
contemplating
Watching
DeMarcus
it?
Robinson as an option. No, I'm in on watching the Rams as an
okay.
offense. Like they're fun to watch. Like
Kyron Williams is awesome to watch.
Yeah.
Love that kid. Very
Their
good.
offense is
That's your
fun.
boy. Yeah.
You're gonna be depressed when the Commanders run out in the field for offense. Then you're gonna be like, all right.
I love Sam Howell, so I'm kind of like not as depressed as you probably think, but
Okay.
I'm telling you, Robinson is. It's like you said, no run game. They're 100% looking for the pass. It's totally shutting that
So
team down.
we're saying Robinson's out for this game.
Is he on IR or just it's a hamstring?
It's a hamstring.
Yeah, it's
he already had the
multiple.
bye to rest, but he's DNP
Yeah.
coming out of it, so not great.
So
look.
yeah, let's say if he is out, Antonio Gibson,
Love him.
love him,
Love him.
love
Love
him.
him.
All right.
Yeah.
What about Chris
Yeah.
Rodriguez? Anything?
No,
about
I don't
him?
love him. I actually have hate.
He actually looked like a good football player.
He doesn't, right? You said he did,
No,
or
he said he
doesn't?
did.
There was a few games where he looked like a competent running back.
But what happens after? Fumble happened
Well,
at least
okay,
2 to 3
fair.
times. I've seen it. No, trust me. I watched him at Kentucky.
Okay.
He's a very explosive running back. He can
Yes.
definitely gap some yards. But he can't hold on to the ball, and that's not.
Wasn't size a question coming into the league?
He's
too?
a little
Like,
small too,
yeah.
so that's why he's dropping the ball a little bit too. But no,
Yeah.
you're right though. You're gonna see some flashes, but I want Gibson to get all the volume. He's
Yeah.
explosive. Get him for years. You wanted J.D. McKissick off that team because you wanted Gibson to get 9 catches a game, but now he's not there. He's becoming that little receiving back. But now that Robinson's not there, you want him to be like a 3-down back because he's totally capable of doing that.
Yeah.
Dallas at Buffalo's the other 50.5 I have. Sorry, Justin, if you had
Nope,
some
that was it. That was my sage.
Commanders,
input
Rams.
Was got
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Gibson, yeah.
Yeah.
Dallas at Buffalo. Is this the Gabe Davis week?
I don't want to say that ever again. I'm actually completely off Gabe Davis. Anytime
Yeah.
I look at a field view of any of our tools we have at sixscore.com,
Yeah.
it says Gabe Davis week. You know what I do? I just skip it.
You
I
did
can't
warn
do
me.
it.
You
I
was
did it
like,
one
we were
time.
talking about it
Yeah.
with the Chiefs, and you're like, who's it open up for? And you
Gabe
looked at me and you're
Davis.
like, Gabe Davis.
And I don't like it because he's not. That's the one thing about this Bills team. I think everybody saw Diggs is good, but they need to get a second guy. And this Kincaid was a good move. He's gonna eventually knock Knox off the team or just make him a pure blocking tight end. It's almost there, but It's not good when that's also why Diggs can have bad games. You just lock down on Diggs and like Davis beat you. Davis has barely beaten you. And if he ever has, you know, he has those boomer bust games, he has his long touchdowns, but when he's not being effective, he's not running routes that are helping Allen at all. So it's not good fantasy. And also if you ever see something in fantasy that says he has an advantage that week, it's a lie. It's a mirage. It's not
trap.
real. Yes.
The game's in Buffalo.
Right.
If you had to start one of these quarterbacks, who would you rather have on your fantasy team?
Prescott. Buffalo's got a lot of defensive injuries. You know, you got Josh Allen as like the number one fantasy quarterback, but it's not even what Prescott's been doing the last couple of weeks. It's just that outlet. That Bills defense is messed up. You got no Milano, which is so key for that team. Any tight end can scattle around. It's not a word.
Scattle. I love it.
Scattle around in the middle of the field. It's wide open for everybody. They have DaQuan Jones been out for majority of the year. Von Miller looks like he looked like he had a decent game. He's getting to the quarterback a lot last game against Mahomes, but he hasn't fully been there. Secondary's messed up. Hyde has had that neck issue reoccurring a lot this year. He missed a whole year a couple years before, so that's not great, especially when you don't have a good backup because he's player of the year or comeback player of the year. I'm not trying to hate, but there's no backup behind Hamlin like at all.
Yeah.
Taylor Rapp's playing, but like I don't know. It's not helpful without Hyde as a key part of that defense. So that leads into probably a better game for Prescott, I think.
Yeah, the only thing I have to add is James Cook unlock him again against Dallas. No middle linebacker to cover him, so
he's a wide receiver.
Should be.
He's been doing a
lot.
He's very good. Yes. Yeah.
He's been doing a lot lately. It's awesome.
Denver at Detroit, 47.5. These next 3 games are all 47.5, but we'll go one by one. Cortland Sutton is just like a league winner. Is that what he is?
Where he was drafted, like Judy was supposed to be the man this year. I will admit I took that pill, so I'll
That's tough.
feeling it. Yeah, but Cortland Sutton has 10 touchdowns this year, 53 catches, almost 700 yards, 699 to be exact. Nice. So, you
making one-hand grabs while people are dragging him down. Doesn't matter.
Off his body. Using his body, so I like it. So, no, it's 10 touchdowns is nice, especially he said, like where he was getting drafted at, he's been a clear league winner this year.
San Fran at Arizona, 47.5 also.
What? Marquise Brown, gone, right? He's just like non-factor completely, right? I don't know.
I don't even think that's Murray's fault. I think it's him, like on a personal level. I don't think he's just that good anymore. Trey McBride's been very good, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm seeing flashes from Moore, Dorsch since Murray's been back, but nothing from Brown.
This is a deep guy that I had on my team for a little bit because I thought maybe there might be a breakout when Kyler came back, but Michael Wilson's coming back.
Yeah, I like him.
He does look like a good wide receiver too on the team, but
he's a big body. That's what the one thing you're not going to get a lot of like 8 catches and like 69, but you're going to get those like touchdowns in the red zone because he's very good at the red zone. I think he did have a touchdown in Murray's first game back, but he's dealing with that shoulder.
He aggravated that shoulder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Philly at Seattle is the Monday game. I think Kenneth Walker.
Is it no Geno Smith again? Second straight week?
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Real quick, before we get to Monday, there's Saturday games this week. It's weird. There's 3 games on Saturday, so I just want to let everyone know if you've made it this far and you don't know that. I doubt you don't know that, but there's 3 games on Saturday.
Sometimes you don't.
It might catch some people off guard.
Yeah, it's weird. So yeah, if you have a process Sunday morning, waking up and setting your stuff, just do it Saturday morning.
What is it? I think it's Colts, Steelers.
Well, you got people like Justin Jefferson who is key Vikings, on the injury report that in Chase as well, that you need to know Saturday game because Jefferson has said there's a possibility he plays. So that's something you need to be watching because that's not 100% yet.
Yeah. Vikings, Bengals, Steelers, Colts, and then the Broncos, Lions
game
is Saturday night. Yeah.
Big time. 4 days a week. There's football. Can't get away from it.
And Christmas, they got 2 or 3 games too, I believe, right? Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, when Saturday games start hitting, that's when you know the fantasy season's wrapping up, which is
you're like college football's over.
It's sad, right? Yeah, it's sad. We're getting on that, but you know what is? There always is like that when you get booted out of fantasy football, and obviously we love it because we wouldn't be doing this if we didn't. But when you get booted out, there's like you're mad and then you're like relieved. There's like you're like, dude, I just get to watch.
It was like a gauntlet. You were like, you were
I just get to watch football. I don't have to stress that Nico Collins got hurt again, or like you know what I mean. Like I don't have to worry about it. I'm just watching football and it's fun again. But kick
myself for starting the wrong tight end for the 8th week in a row. Like
just throw an underdog parlay and just hang out. Drink some hot chocolates, throw some eggnog in there, little Baileys.
Just do that
Liven it up.
that five kicker parlay like everyone loves. And
Nah, I
go
don't
to
want to do
town.
that. Five kicker parlay. God.
Oh, you got to really love it, man. You got to really love it.
That's
Yeah.
fun in modern football. Fantasy's over, but the prize pick season is just beginning.
Underdog, everything, all
All
those,
that.
yes. NBA as well. Yep.
If it's no Geno, who's the go-to wide receiver to start on Seattle?
I want to say Najiba.
I
But
think so.
Metcalf looked good with him too. He was throwing the ball, but he's a very vertical like thrower. So
I
it's
think
not
Lock.
gonna,
I think you're right. Lockett's kind of the odd man out if Drew Lock's starting.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Yeah, DK's been insane. Just swinging out there like crazy.
No.
Yes. No, he's been really good. He's been obviously
has
very
been
good if
swinging
you had
it.
him. But yeah, I think I'd take Jackson Smith and Jigba.
No, Lockett had
over
the
Lockett right
best game last week, but I think that was more because they were down and they had to throw deep to him. But I think just like from progressive, just like running your offense, I don't know if Lockett's the main guy.
I haven't checked contracts, but I am curious. Like, what's the wide receiver room? Is it gonna? Are they just rolling it back out? Like, I feel like Lockett might be.
Lockett's got to be almost done soon. I feel like
Right.
Metcalf got a deal recently, right? So he's chilling, but I'm not 100% sure on their whole contract situation.
Because if
There's
you go
got to be a
back into
reason they
this season,
chose JSN.
right? JSN's gonna be there.
Well, Lockett's also like almost 32. He could maybe want to retire. Maybe.
Yeah.
They have Lockett all the way till 2026, by the way. So
yeah,
he's
I'm
locked
looking at that.
in. Yeah.
He's in. That's gonna be a weird room. I mean, obviously, eventually you're gonna give the keys to JSN. But
Well,
like,
he was just drafted because he just fell. There was a certain point, like anybody, even if they needed a cornerback, like you couldn't take anybody above Najiba at that time. You know, it was just one of those ones like, oh, we have two good receivers, but like you can't let this kid fall.
Yeah,
right?
Lockett's not leaving. There's a potential out after this season, but you have 20 million in dead cap, so they're not gonna. That's not
He's,
an out. That's
he's
hardly
gone.
an out.
He's not gone. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's gross.
Are you guys worried about DeAndre Swift? It seems like he's fallen off hard the past couple weeks.
Yeah, but like who would you start?
I think
Who would you
he can
start?
come back up. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I just think he's a bad
That's
couple
like
weeks.
you just summed up the fantasy running back situation
It's
this
like,
year. It's like,
what are you
yeah,
gonna
he's fallen
do?
off, but like
You
he's
what-
not
yeah.
leaving my lineup because what else do I got?
Like he had 11 carries, he just didn't run well. I
Yeah.
mean, he's still catching the ball. He didn't catch any catches. That's probably one of his first games he hasn't. So I mean, he has a couple bad weeks, but like you said, you can't just be like, we're done with Swift, right? He's held you down for a lot. Wow.
He
Yeah,
has
it's
so
not
much
like- it's
volume,
not like
but 4
someone else-
touchdowns because
Yeah,
the tush push steals them all.
it's not like there's another running back on the team that's taken like over. You know, but
Yeah,
if, like
it's
Gainwell
not-
all of
yeah.
a sudden's putting up like
I know.
100
Remember, it
in
was like
touch, you're
week
wait.
3, Gainwell got like 20 carries,
Right.
instantly got hurt, and people were like, "Well,
That's what happens.
that's why you don't do Gainwell 20 carries."
Yep.
All right. Any parting words? Any parting wisdom?
Good luck in the your playoff endeavors. I'm fortunate enough. I have one bye week, and then I'm struggling with Palmer, but I'm excited to see where this lands next week.
Is it really a buy if you're debating Josh Palmer on Thursday?
It's
That's not a,
Wednesday.
no. That's not.
I'm
I don't have
saying-
a bye in that league.
Well, I
have
know
the
that one.
opposite. Yeah,
I'm just saying you can't even enjoy your buy because the other one you're having to force Josh Palmer in the lineup.
I hope he does something. If he does,
You must
literally
unlearn.
anything-
You must unlearn what you learned.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my parting.
There you
quote.
go.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I want that
Yes.
on a shirt,
There you go.
but with your face on it though too.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. It wasn't my quote
appreciate
though.
it.
I stole it from
Nah,
Yoda
well, then it'll
specifically.
be
Yeah.
your name, your face, your name, and then like the name of the person whose actual quote it is. It'll be
Yoda.
Okay, there you go.
Ah,
There you go.
there you go.
All right, let's
All
get out
right.
of here and get into this Thursday night.
Bye
game.
bye.
Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you next week.